Children, good morning, all of you. In part B, Political Theory, Chapter 5, Rights is going on. And here, so far, we have studied up to the rights and the states, legal rights and the state. Besides, we have studied the overview of this chapter, what are the rights, where do rights come from, and legal rights and the states. What are the rights? Rights are the claims of the society, of the people, what are accepted by the society as well as sanctioned by the law. Where do rights come from? Rights come from the people's demand. In the 17th and 18th century, the political scientists have kept on argued that the rights are given to us by nature, by God. The rights of man were derived from natural laws. This means these rights are natural and not confronted to a ruler or a society. Rather, we have born with those rights, like the right to life, right to liberty, and right to property. They identified these three natural rights of man: the right to life, right to liberty, and right to property. And the other rights, what have come into being, they are derived from these three rights. In the recent years, instead of using the term like natural rights, the people or the political scientists have started using the term human rights. And we have studied about the legal rights and the states. While claims for human rights appeal to our moral self, the degree of success of such appeals depends on a number of factors, most important of which is the support of the governments and the law, because any rights become any rights remain a claim until it is sanctioned by the law. So the most important thing is the sanctity from the government and the law. This is why so much importance is placed on the legal recognition of the rights. A Bill of Rights is enshrined in the constitution of many countries. The legal endorsement certainly gives our rights a special status in the society. The legal right is so important, and its constitutional recognition that the several theorists define rights as the claims that are recognized by the states. The legal sanctity is so important and crucial that many theorists, social theorists, political scientists consider it, considers the rights or define them as claims that are recognized by the state, by the government. In most of the cases, the claimed rights are directed towards the state. That is through these rights that the people make demands upon the states. The rights place an obligation upon the state to act in a certain kinds of way. Each right indicates what the states must do as well as what is must to do, what is must not do. For instance, my right to life obliges the state to make laws that protect me from injury by others. And it is same with the others also. That right protects them from getting injured by me. Rights not only indicate what the state must do, they also suggest what the state must refrain from doing. My right to liberty as a person, for instance, suggests that the state cannot simply arrest me at its own will, and if it's necessary, it's required, then they will do that. And to put it another way, our rights ensure that the authority of the state is exercised without violating the sanctity of individual's life and liberty. And now, children, we should come to the next topic, that is the kinds of rights. Most democracies today being by drawing up a charter of political rights. Political rights give the citizens the right to equality. Right to equality means right to equality before law and the right to participate in the political processes like suffrage rights, right to vote, right to be voted, right to elect and right to be elected. They include such rights as the right to vote and right to be elected as representatives, the right to contest elections, the right to form political parties or join them. Political rights are supplemented by civil liberties. The civil liberties refers to the right to free and a fair trial, the right to express one's views freely, the right to protest and express dissent. Collectively, civil liberties and political rights form the basis of a democratic system of the government. And it is very important question, children. In very short answer type question, it is asked, what is there that forms the basis of the democratic system? The civil rights, and civil rights means civil liberties, and the political rights form the basis of the political system, of the democratic system. But as it was mentioned before, that rights aim to protect the well-being of the individual. Political rights contribute to it by making the government accountable to the people, by giving greater importance to the concern of the individuals over that the rulers, and by ensuring that all the persons have an opportunity to influence the decisions of the government. However, our rights of political participation can only be exercised fully when our basic needs of food, shelter, clothing, health are met. What do the political rights contribute to? The political rights contribute to it by making the government accountable to the people, by giving greater importance to the concerns of the individuals over the rulers, and by ensuring all the persons have equal opportunity to influence the decisions of the government. Our rights of political participation can only be exercised fully when our basic needs like clothing, food, shelter, health, education are met. For a person living on the pavements and struggling to meet these basic needs, a person who is living on the footpaths or pavements could not be having any lodging, shelter, food, medical security. So, for a person living on pavements and struggling to meet these basic needs, political rights by themselves have little value. They do not have anything to do with those political rights because they are struggling the basic things, the basic needs. They require certain facilities like an adequate ways to meet their basic needs. They are struggling for having enough money to afford food, at least food for a square meal, not for a square meal, to a square meal, and reasonable conditions of work, because by the time they would not be getting any reasonable wages, reasonable jobs, what will they do with those political rights? Hence, the democratic societies are beginning to recognize these obligations and provide economic rights. In some countries, citizens, particularly those with low incomes, receive housings and medical facilities from the state. From the state means from the government. The government provides them the houses, education, shelter, food, Medicare. Unemployed persons receive certain minimum wages so that they can meet their basic needs. In India, the government has recently introduced a rural employment guarantee scheme among other measures to help the poor. But that is for the rural people. What about the urban people, urban poor? There is nothing for them. Today, in addition to the political and the economic rights, more and more democracies are recognizing the cultural claims of their citizens. The right to have primary education in one's mother tongue, the right to establish institutions for teaching one's language and culture. Like here in our country, the people have the right, especially the minorities, have the right to establish an institution and run that up for the promotion of their culture, their language, their religion. The right to establish institutions for teaching one's language and culture are today recognized as being necessary for leading a good life. What is felt today to lead a good life? The economic rights should be given to the people, cultural claims of the citizens The cultural claims of their citizens, the right to have primary education in one's mother tongue, the right to establish institutions for teaching one's language and culture are today recognized as a necessary element for leading a good life. The list of rights has thus steadily increased in democracies because rights are given only in democracies. So, in democracies, while some rights, primarily to the right to primarily the right to life, liberty, equal treatment, and the right to political participation are seen as the basic rights that must receive priority. Other conditions that are necessary for leading a decent life, a good life, are being recognized as justified claims or rights. So, those things are very requisite for leading a good life. What? Right to life, right to property, right to life, right to liberty, right to education, and equal treatment, right to equality, right to freedom of expression, the political participation. These are basic things, basic rights, what are necessary for leading a decent life, for leading a good life, and they are being recognized justified claims for our rights. Children, some questions what are asked very frequently. What are cultural rights? What are cultural rights? Cultural rights are the cultural claims of citizens, like the right to primary education in one's mother tongue, the right to establish institutions for teaching one's language and culture are cultural rights. What are the basic rights? Right to property, right to life, right to liberty, right to equality, right to political freedom. Now, the rights and the responsibilities. Rights do not come alone. Rights gives us some responsibilities. What we want for ourselves, what we consider requisite or necessary for ourselves, that must be for others. Rights not only place obligations upon the state to act in a certain way, for instance, to ensure sustainable development, but they also place obligations upon each other. Firstly, they compel us to think not just of our own personal needs and interests, but to defend some things as being good for all of us, that is not restricted only for what is good to us, that makes us to think rationally. What do we find better or best for us? The same, that is good for all, that must be better for the betterment of others, like the protecting the ozone layer, minimizing air and water pollution, maintaining the green cover by planting new trees, and preventing cutting down of forest, maintaining the ecological balance are things that are essential for all of us. That is not only for the government. That is our responsibility. Each of us has this responsibility. They represent they represent the common good that we must act to protect for ourselves as well as for the future generations who are entitled to inherit a safe and clean world without which they cannot lead a reasonably good life. Secondly, they require respect the rights of the others. If I say I must be given the right to express my views, I must also grant the same rights to the others and respect the others' right to express himself. If I do not want others to interfere in the choice or choices what I make, the dress I wear or the music I listen to, I must refrain from interfering in the choices of the others. If I talk of privacy to myself, then I should be respecting the privacy of the others. If I want to enjoy freedom, then I must respect the freedom of others. I cannot use the right to free speech to incite a crowd to kill my neighbor. I cannot incite anyone. Though I have right to express my views, my opinions, my whatever I think, but I cannot incite. I cannot use that right for creating violation. In exercising my rights, I cannot deprive others of their rights. My rights are, in other words, limited by the principle of equal and the same rights for all. Thirdly, we must balance our rights when they come into conflicts. For instance, my right to freedom of expression allows me to take pictures. However, if I take pictures of a person bathing in his house without his consent and post them on the internet, that would be a violation of his right to privacy. I cannot do that. I have the right to take pictures, to take photographs, but I cannot disturb others' privacy. If someone is bathing in his bathroom or in his room, I cannot take his pictures and post them on the internet. I cannot viral them. And if I do that, that is a violation of his right to privacy. What he should be enjoying. Fourthly, the citizens must be vigilant about the limitations which may be placed on their rights. A currently debated topic concerns the increased restrictions which the governments are imposing on the civil liberties of the citizens on the grounds of the national security. And this thing, as you must have felt recently in the pandemic disease of COVID-19, your rights were restricted, your freedom was restricted, your other rights were also restricted. You had to be closed in your houses. So many times the civil liberties could be restricted by the government for the cause of the national security, for the cause of the national purpose. Protecting national security may be defended as necessary for safeguarding the rights and the well-being of the citizen. Whatever was the restrictions at the Janta curfew and the lockdown period, so many times there were Article 144 imposed on us. What was that? That was for the national security, for well-being of the society, of the nation. So some restrictions might be imposed what are necessary for security, but at what point could the restrictions imposed as necessary for security themselves become a threat to the rights of the people? Should a country facing the threat of terrorists becoming be allowed, sorry, the territories or the countries what are facing the threat of the terrorist bombing be allowed to curtail the liberty of the citizens? Should it be allowed to intercept their mail or tap their phones? Should it be allowed to use torture to extract confessions? Again, it is a very crucial question. As far as I talk of the people's right, that should not be done. But when we talk of the national security, the people's well-being, there must be. In such situations, the questions to ask is whether the person concerned poses an imminent threat to society. Even arrested person should be allowed for legal counsel and the opportunity to present their case before a magistrate or a law. We need to be extremely cautious about giving governments power which could be used to curtail the civil rights of individuals. For such powers can be misused. The governments can become authoritarian and undermine the very reason for which the government exists, namely the well-being of the members of the states. Hence, even though the rights can never be absolute, we need to be vigilant in protecting our rights and those of others, for they form the basis of a democratic society. So children, now in this chapter what we have studied about the rights. What are rights? The right is essentially an entitlement and justified claim to denote what are entitled to as a citizen, as individuals, as human beings. It is something that we consider to be due to us, something that the rest of the society must recognize as being a legitimate claim that must be upheld. We have studied where do rights come from. The basic rights, the right to life, right to liberty, right to property. The people, the social theorists and the political scientists have argued, have kept on argued from 17th and 18th century that those are the natural rights given by nature or by God, and no one could be violating them. They could not be restricted to the rulers and the governments and the state. In the recent years, instead of using the term natural rights, the people, the social theorists, the political scientists have started using the term like human rights. That appears to be close to the human beings, or betterment of the human beings. The assumption behind human rights is that all the persons are entitled to certain things simply because they are human beings. As a human being, each person is unique and equally valuable. Besides them, we have studied about the legal rights and the states. What role does the state play? Actually, the claims becomes right when they are sanctioned by the law, when they are approved by the government by the law. While claims for human rights appeal to our moral self, the degree of success of such appeals depends on a number of factors, and the most important of which is the support of the government and the law. This is why so much importance is placed on the legal recognition of the rights. We have studied about the kinds of rights. There are some basic rights, some cultural rights, some political rights, and natural rights. What we say, the human rights. And most important thing, we have studied the rights gives us responsibilities. The rights not only place obligations upon the states to act in a certain way, for instance, to ensure sustainable development, but they also place obligations upon each of us. All of us, have the responsibilities, the obligations. They compel us to think not just of our own personal needs and interests, but also to defend something as being good for all of us. They require that I respect the rights of others. We must balance our rights when they come into conflicts, like right to privacy. I have the right to take photos, but I cannot take anyone's personal photos without his permission. Fourthly, the citizens must be vigilant about limitations which may be placed on their rights, and everyone should be enjoying them. Even the arrested persons have the right to be represented, to be tried in a court of law before a magistrate. Children, from my side, the chapter is over, and if still you are having any doubt, you can get them clear in the doubt clearance class or in the physical class whenever you come to school. Very soon we shall see with the next chapter. By the time, stay home, stay safe. May God bless you. Thank you all. Have a good day.